Hello everyone, this is ICBs here and today we are going to be talking about Daredevil. So basically Daredevil's old director from the Netflix days is slamming Disney for, well, screwing everyone over and the people who worked on the original Netflix series when Daredevil used to be on Netflix. And the way they're doing that is by paying people less and, big surprise there, big corporations not paying people fair wages. I know, I'm surprised, I'm just as surprised as you are. So the way they're doing this is by making and calling this a remake. So the new name of this show is going to be called Daredevil Reborn, or like that's definitely an original name. There it is, Daredevil Reborn. So the way I'm understanding is that usually when people are making seasons and people are working on these TV series, they usually get their contract on season 1, which usually doesn't pay really well, but if the season or the show was successful enough, they get newer contracts on season 2, and newer contracts usually pay a lot more money. And Daredevil, I think, was on their third season, so that meant that people who worked on this series were being paid really well compared to the first season. So now Disney rebooting this thing and essentially making a season 1 of Daredevil on Disney Plus is going to be paying actors who worked on this thing on this show on Netflix a lot less. So basically their contract becomes regressed and it goes back to season 1. And not just the actors but a lot of other people like cameraman or all the other people who worked on the original show, they get a decrease in their pay. So that's a really scummy way of doing things. And is it going to be a reboot? And the way I'm seeing it, kind of yes, because Disney is taking some elements and then removing some of the others. For example, I was really surprised to see that Disney is not going to be keeping Foggy's character. Foggy Nelson is not going to be in this show at all. And Karen Page, like, she was one of the main characters. How could you remove that? Karen and Foggy, like, they were like the backbone of that series. I mean, I wouldn't call them backbone, but they were certainly important characters. So it says here, while Marvel Studios hasn't explicitly called it a reboot, decisions like recasting Vanessa Fisk, redoing Kingpin's origin story, redoing his story, which was done exceptionally well in the original Netflix series, so they're just going to absolutely redo the whole thing, and they're not going to bringing back Foggy Nelson and Karen Page, like I said. So that's going to be a huge bummer for me. So yeah, the director was definitely raising a lot of concerns. He basically called this an old Disney scam, and not just like this guy, like this director came forward. There were a lot of other guys as well that came forward. For example, the Sweet Life of Zack and Cody and Hannah Montana, they also came forward and they expressed the same thing, that the same thing happened to them. So it's a bit of a really scummy thing to do. And one thing that this article by the Direct doesn't mention over here is that the series is going to be PG-13, which raises a lot of questions for me, because Netflix making Disney's shows, not Disney's shows, like Marvel's shows, and making them really gory and R-rated, it really was a breath of fresh air, like I really felt amazing, because you're really used to see vanilla superheroes in Marvel, and Marvel's Disney Marvel in that way, they don't really feel like R-rated, but this, like, Netflix was providing that itch, that you would have for superheroes. But now Disney is going to take this character, which is definitely made to be an R-rated character, and they're going to make it a PG-13, which raises a lot of concern for me, because now if Disney is making their Devil's show and making it a PG-13, I think it's just going to be another generic Marvel superhero just wearing a different costume and being called a different superhero. Like, you have Antman and now you're going to have a Daredevil show. It's going to be the same vanilla superhero, generic Marvel superhero, just a different costume and a different name. So I do think that kind of an R rating really separated Daredevil from other Marvel superheroes. So yeah, that's definitely a lot concerning for me. And Daredevil appearing in She-Hulk was also really not something that I liked. I wouldn't say I disliked it, but I can't really say I liked anything either about it. I mean, his costume definitely looked horrible, but aside from that, there wasn't anything to like about Daredevil in that show. I wouldn't say there was something to outright hate about that character when he appeared there aside from the costume, but there wasn't anything to like either. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think that Daredevil should be a PG-13 superhero, or should he be R-rated? I mean, it's Disney, they're probably never going to do an R-rated, but I mean, they could try. I mean, they could definitely try and do something with this character. But PG-13, really, are you kidding me? But you know, like, with that said, this is it for this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and as always, it's time for a goodbye.